Let me tell you something real. After intimacy, a man isn't just lying there in silence. He's thinking, he's feeling, and he's revealing more about himself in that moment than he ever would with words. And if you've ever wondered what's really going on in his heart after we share that closeness, then you're about to hear the truth. Because intimacy is not just physical, it's spiritual. It's a mirror that shows who he really is and how he truly sees you. People talk about intimacy as if it's just about passion, chemistry, or pleasure. But the reality is, what happens after says more about a man than anything he does during. When the fire cools down and the room goes quiet, that's when his real emotions show. Because in that silence, in that stillness, you'll see whether he feels peace with you, respect for you, or regret inside himself. And if you can understand what's really happening in his mind in those moments, you'll unlock the truth about where you truly stand in his life. Today, I'm going to take you into that hidden world, what he really feels and thinks after intimacy. And I promise you this, once you hear it, you'll never look at intimacy the same way again. After intimacy, a man's soul speaks louder than his mouth ever could. And here's the truth most people miss. His body might be tired, his words might be few, but his spirit, that's when it starts shouting. You can feel it. You don't need him to say, "I love you," or "I don't care about you." You can feel the peace, or you can feel the storm. Peace or restlessness, it's never hidden. That moment, when the room goes quiet and the fire of passion fades, is the ultimate truth serum. It's the mirror of his spirit. Think about it. We've all experienced situations where someone's presence brought us calm without a word spoken. Maybe it was a friend who walked into the room, sat down next to you, and you instantly felt lighter, safer. Or maybe it was someone who, without even saying anything, brought tension and unease. You could sense it in their silence, in their energy. That's what happens after intimacy. A man can fake confidence at the bar. He can fake charm during a conversation. He can even fake passion in the act. But after intimacy, when the performance is over, the truth comes out. If he feels aligned with you, if being close to you feels right, not just physically, but spiritually, his whole body will settle. You'll see it in the way he holds you without even realizing it, in the way his breathing slows down, in the way his eyes soften when he looks at you. He won't need to search for his phone. He won't need to distract himself, because his spirit is at peace. He'll feel at home with you. That's not something you can force. That's not something you can buy. That's truth. But let's flip it. What if, in that same moment, his spirit is unsettled? What if, deep down, he knows he isn't truly connected to you, or that he's not ready for the bond he just stepped into? Then you'll feel it too. He'll shift away. He'll pull out his phone. He'll pretend he's tired, or that he has to get up early. The truth is, his restlessness is not about the room being too warm, or the bed being uncomfortable. It's about the spirit inside him fighting against something that isn't aligned. You see, peace and restlessness aren't emotions. They're signals. They're the language of the soul. When a man feels peace with you, it means he feels safe, valued, and aligned with something bigger than just the moment. When he feels restless, it's because something inside of him knows this isn't where he's supposed to be, or that he doesn't have the capacity to meet what this intimacy means. And this isn't just about men. It's about all of us. Think about your own life. When you've been in the presence of someone who was right for your soul, didn't you feel peace? Didn't your heart slow down, your mind quiet down? And when you've been around someone who wasn't right for you, didn't you feel like you had to overthink, overanalyze, overprove yourself? That's the difference. Peace versus restlessness. Truth versus denial. Now, here's where it gets powerful. If you want to know how a man truly feels about you, don't look at the intensity of what happens during intimacy. Look at the calmness, or chaos, afterwards. Because the energy he leaves you with tells you everything. If he lies there with you, content, not needing to escape, it's because he's aligned. But if he can't sit still, can't stay present, can't even look at you with calmness, it's because his spirit isn't settled. And that has nothing to do with your worth, but everything to do with his truth. Too many people ignore these signals. They get caught up in the chemistry, the passion, the thrill, and they silence the voice inside that whispers, something feels off. But here's the reality: God doesn't put peace and restlessness in your heart for no reason. Those signals are there to guide you. If you feel peace, you're probably standing in the right place. If you feel restlessness, it's not something to overlook. It's something to pay attention to. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you're in a business meeting. You've just signed a big deal. On paper, it looks amazing. But after the handshake, as you're sitting across the table, you suddenly feel uneasy. You can't explain why, but your gut tells you something's wrong. Weeks later, you find out the deal wasn't what it seemed. Your restlessness was a signal. Now, switch that to intimacy. It's the same thing. You might not see the whole picture in the moment, but your peace or your restlessness will always point you to the truth. And here's the most important part: don't ignore what you feel in his energy after intimacy. If he gives you peace, treasure it. That's rare. That's valuable. If he gives you restlessness, don't fight it, don't justify it, don't explain it away. Respect it, because that's God giving you a preview of the truth before the consequences arrive. At the end of the day, intimacy isn't just about passion, it's about truth. Peace or restlessness, it's his spirit revealing itself. And once you learn to trust what you feel in those moments, you'll never again be fooled by what's said in words or performed in action. You already know the truth, because you'll have felt it in your soul. Respect is the currency of intimacy, and it is in the aftermath where its value is either revealed or exposed as counterfeit. After intimacy, when the passion settles and there are no fireworks distracting you, respect, or the lack of it, shows up without disguise. You can't mistake it. You'll feel it in the way he looks at you, the way he speaks to you, and the way he carries himself in your presence. Because here's the truth: desire might draw a man to you, but respect is what makes him stay in the right way. Think about daily life for a moment. When you walk into a room, there are people who acknowledge you with genuine warmth, who make you feel seen and valued. And then there are those who barely lift their eyes, who act as if your presence doesn't matter. The difference: respect. The same is true after intimacy. If a man values you, he doesn't switch off like a machine when the act is over. He doesn't treat you like a checkbox he just ticked. His respect for you flows into how he treats you in those small, unguarded moments afterwards. It's in the way he touches you after. It's no longer about desire, it's about care. It's in the way he asks if you're comfortable, if you're okay, if you feel good. Respect isn't dramatic, it isn't loud, but it's powerful. It makes you feel safe in a space where you are most vulnerable. And when you feel it, you know it's real. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine intimacy with someone who lacks respect. The moment it's over, he turns away, grabs his phone, or worse, acts like you were just a convenience. No presence, no tenderness, no acknowledgement. That's not love, that's not connection, that's the absence of respect. And it cuts deeper than people realize. Because in those moments, your spirit isn't asking, was it exciting? It's asking, do I matter? And his behavior answers that question, whether he says a word or not. Respect is visible in the smallest details. For example, picture two co-workers leaving the office late. One waits at the door, holding it open, acknowledging the other's presence. The other storms out, letting the door close behind. Same situation, different response, but only one shows respect. Now translate that to intimacy. Does he hold that space for you after? Or does he leave you carrying the weight of the moment alone? The difference tells you everything. There's a saying that love without respect cannot last. And in intimacy, this is magnified. When a man respects you, he honors your vulnerability. He understands that intimacy is not just about bodies. It's about trust. He knows that the way he treats you afterwards either strengthens that trust or breaks it. That respect is shown in whether he listens if you want to talk, whether he stays close if you want silence, whether he considers your heart as much as he enjoyed your body. That's respect in action. Let's bring this down to real-life examples. Think about a time when you shared a secret with someone. The secret itself was vulnerable, personal. If they protected it, respected it, you felt safe. If they joked about it, exposed it, or brushed it off, you felt betrayed. Intimacy is the same, only magnified 10 times more. The way a man respects you after is the equivalent of whether he treasures that secret moment with you or treats it carelessly. And here's the thing, respect can't be forced. You can't demand it after intimacy if it wasn't there before. Respect is either part of his character or it isn't. That's why what happens after intimacy is so revealing. It's the test of whether his intentions align with his actions. It's the place where masks fall off. I want you to imagine this after intimacy. A man turns to you, pulls you closer, and simply says, "You're amazing." Not because he had to, not because it's some scripted line, but because he genuinely feels gratitude and admiration in that moment. That's respect. Compare it with someone who rolls over, distant, detached, and acts like nothing happened. The contrast is night and day. One strengthens your soul, the other weakens it. And here's the lesson. Don't ignore the signs of respect or disrespect in those moments, because that's where you see the truth of how he values you. The way he treats you when no one's watching, when there's nothing to prove, tells you everything you need to know. If there is respect, there is possibility. If there is none, there's no foundation. At the end of the day, intimacy is not measured in the heat of the moment, but in the coolness afterwards. Respect is what transforms intimacy from being just physical into something meaningful. Respect is what makes you feel safe enough to give your heart fully. And respect is what separates a man who is just there for the act from a man who is there for you. Because passion might fade, attraction might shift, but respect, that's the anchor, that's the proof. And once you understand that, you'll never again mistake desire for devotion. You'll know that respect is the ultimate test of a man's character. And you'll see it clearest after intimacy, when the world goes quiet and his actions speak louder than any words ever could. After intimacy, there's a silence that speaks louder than the act itself. And in that silence, a man's emotional depth, or the lack of it, comes to the surface. You don't need to interrogate him. You don't need to read his texts or ask him 100 questions. Just watch him in that moment. Does he open up, even in subtle ways, or does he shut down? Does he laugh with you, talk with you, or simply hold you with ease? Or does he retreat into himself, detached, as though nothing sacred just happened? That moment is not about skill, not about chemistry, it's about depth. See, emotional depth isn't something you can fake. Just like you can't fake still water being an ocean, you can't fake a shallow man being deep. And intimacy exposes that truth. Every man has emotions, but not every man knows how to connect with them, or more importantly, share them. After intimacy, the mask slips. If he's capable of connection, you'll see it in the way he stays present with you. If he isn't, you'll feel the emptiness, no matter how passionate the act was. Think about daily life examples. When you're around someone truly engaged, you can feel it. Imagine sitting with a friend who listens with their whole presence. They look at you, they respond with understanding. They make you feel heard. Now imagine sitting with someone who nods while scrolling on their phone, whose mind is somewhere else. Same setting, completely different experience. One shows depth, the other shows emptiness. After intimacy, it's the same thing. A man with depth will be there with you. A man without it will vanish emotionally, even if he's lying right beside you. Emotional depth looks different for every man. It doesn't always mean spilling his heart in a poetic monologue. Sometimes it's as simple as him asking, "How are you feeling?" or sharing a piece of himself. Maybe a laugh, a thought, or even a silence that feels connected rather than distant. It's about presence, not performance. Presence is depth. Let's take another everyday example, a family dinner. You can tell who's truly engaged at the table. There's the person who asks real questions, who cares about the stories being told, who notices the details. And then there's the one staring at their plate, eating as fast as possible, waiting to leave. Both are there physically, but only one is there emotionally. After intimacy, the same law applies. You'll know whether he sees it as a shared bond or just a physical release by whether he remains emotionally present with you. And here's the truth. Emotional depth isn't about how much he says, but about how much he gives of himself in that moment. A man who is deep may not be a talker, but you'll feel him with you. His silence will feel warm, safe, connected. A man who lacks depth may talk a lot, but it will feel hollow, like words thrown out to fill the air, not to build a bridge. The reason this matters is because intimacy without emotional depth leaves a void. It's like eating the most delicious meal that leaves you hungry an hour later. The act may satisfy in the moment, but without emotional substance, it doesn't nourish the soul. Emotional depth is what makes intimacy fulfilling, memorable, and real. Without it, it's just repetition without meaning. Think about a piece of music. Two people can play the same notes on the piano. One will play mechanically, hitting every key correctly, but without feeling. The other will play with emotion, with weight, with life. The song is the same, but the experience is worlds apart. Intimacy is exactly like that. A shallow man can go through the motions, but only a man with depth can turn that moment into a song your heart remembers. And here's the part that's inspiring once you understand this. You stop being fooled by surface level connection. You stop confusing passion for depth, because you'll see clearly that passion fades fast when there's no emotional grounding. But when a man has depth, every moment with him carries weight. You'll feel it in his presence, in his laughter, even in his stillness. Emotional depth is also about vulnerability. A man who can't be vulnerable will always remain shallow, no matter how strong or confident he seems. But a man with depth, he's not afraid to let you see his truth. He's not afraid to share his thoughts, even his fears, because he trusts that intimacy is not just physical exposure, it's emotional exposure too. After intimacy, if he lets you glimpse his real self, even in small ways, that's proof of depth. And let's be real, this is what makes intimacy powerful. Not the act, not the physical closeness, but the emotional exchange that follows. Because bodies can meet easily, but souls only meet when there's depth. And that's why so many people walk away from moments of intimacy feeling empty. It wasn't the act that was missing, it was the depth that was missing. So here's the takeaway: pay attention not to the fireworks during, but to the connection after. Notice if he's with you emotionally, or if he's already gone. Because that's the truth. Emotional depth doesn't hide. It either flows naturally, or it leaves a vacuum. And the moment after intimacy is where you'll feel it the strongest. At the end of the day, a man's emotional depth becomes visible not when he wants you, but when he no longer has to prove anything. In the quiet, in the stillness, his soul either leans in or pulls away. And that difference tells you everything about who he is, and about whether your heart will be fed or starved if you continue to walk with him. After intimacy, the most telling part is not what he said before or what he did during. It's what he does next. His future intentions are written in his actions, and they are impossible to hide. You don't need to be a mind reader. You don't need to decode complicated signals. Just pay attention to what he does in that quiet space after. Because a man's consistency, his care, his willingness to stay present, those are the blueprints of his future with you. Think about it in life. Patterns always tell the story. If you go to the gym and someone shows up one day, works out like a champion, but never comes back, you know their intention wasn't serious. But if someone shows up consistently, even on days they don't feel like it, you know they're invested in the long game. Intimacy works the same way. The passion during the moment is easy. It's what comes after, in the days and weeks beyond, that reveals whether he's truly invested or just passing through. After intimacy, you'll notice little things. Does he linger, wanting to share space with you? Or does he detach, as if he's already mentally somewhere else? Does he check in the next day, making sure you feel valued? Or does he vanish, leaving you to wonder where you stand? These behaviors are not random. They are direct reflections of his future intentions. If he sees you as someone he wants in his life, his actions will align with building consistency. If not, his actions will show disinterest, no matter how sweet his words were before. Think about everyday scenarios. Imagine a colleague promising you they'll help on a project. They speak passionately about teamwork. They nod. They reassure you. But when the deadline comes, they're nowhere to be found. Their intentions were never real. Now picture another colleague who not only follows through, but also checks in along the way, making sure the work gets done together. One revealed empty promises, the other revealed commitment. After intimacy, men show the same difference. One might whisper all the right things, but if his actions disappear afterwards, you already know his truth. The other might not say much, but his consistent actions speak louder than words. Here's the powerful truth: love is never built on moments, it's built on patterns. A moment of passion doesn't define a relationship. It's the accumulation of actions afterwards that does. When a man sees a future with you, his actions after intimacy reflect it. He doesn't just disappear, he invests. He doesn't just enjoy the closeness and then retreat, he builds upon it. He'll reach out, plan, make space for you in his world. And that's how you know where you stand. It's like planting a seed. Anyone can put a seed in the ground. It takes a second. But what happens after? Does he water it? Does he nurture it? Does he protect it from being trampled? That tells you if he wants to see it grow. Intimacy is the seed. His actions afterwards are the watering, the nurturing, the proof of intention. Without those actions, the seed withers. With them, it grows into something lasting. Now, let's get real. Too many people ignore these signs. They hear the sweet words and feel the fire of the moment, but they don't watch the behavior that follows. And that's where hearts get broken. Not because the signals weren't there, but because they were overlooked. The reality is, if a man is serious about you, you won't have to chase him to prove it. His actions will naturally show you. He will return your calls. He will respect your time. He will lean into building, not retreat into excuses. Picture this in daily life. A friend promises to visit you when you're sick. The words sound nice, but the truth shows up when you're lying in bed and the doorbell rings. They actually came, soup in hand. That's the difference between intention and action. After intimacy, the same principle applies. Does he follow through in making you feel cared for, respected, valued? Or were his words just a mask for temporary desire? This is why actions after intimacy are so critical. They cut through the noise. They reveal not just where his emotions are, but where his future lies. A man who sees you as part of his future will not risk losing you by being careless. He will act in ways that reassure you, because he knows that consistency builds trust. But a man who doesn't, he'll act like the moment never happened, because for him, it was never meant to lead anywhere deeper. The beauty of this truth is that it empowers you. You don't have to wonder endlessly what he thinks. You don't have to overanalyze every word he said. His actions after intimacy will tell you. If they align with building, respect that. If they show neglect, respect that too. By not investing more than he does. At the end of the day, intimacy is not just about bodies meeting. It's about futures being revealed. His actions afterwards are the clearest window into his intentions. If he stays, if he invests, if he shows up consistently, you're not just part of a moment. You're part of his vision. But if his actions fade, if he withdraws, then you already know he never planned to build anything lasting. So watch closely. Don't be blinded by the heat of the moment or the charm of words. The future is written in what he does afterwards. And once you learn to trust that truth, you'll save yourself from confusion, from heartbreak, from wasted time. Because actions don't lie. And after intimacy, they tell you everything you need to know about where you stand in his life and where he intends to go with you.